Hey everyone, my name is Gordon. I'm the pastor over at Treasure Coast Community Church, and I'm with Miss Thelma Washington, and we're just front porching it here today, and we're going to be talking about what helping looks like. So, but before we get to that, let me just kind of talk with you a little bit about kind of your story. Like you started out teaching kids. Is that not correct?
Yes, I moved to Stewart after college. My husband was hired at Martin Memorial as a medical technologist in August of '83.
So Jim drug you down here?
Yeah, well, we met in Daytona Beach. So we met in college.
Okay.
I'm from Jacksonville. He's from Haines City.
Okay.
And we met in beautiful Daytona Beach.
Why did you marry that guy?
Oh, hey, it was great pickings. I have a good eye.
You got a good eye.
A real good eye.
Good.
So, and then I was hired at J.D. Parker in December of 1983, and I taught 5th grade at Parker for 15 years. And one of the things I used to do was take over the results of how the kids did that came to kindergarten.
Right.
That from Gertrude Walden.
Yeah.
And naturally, I would always look and see, okay. And, you know, constantly seeing how so many of them were retained in kindergarten, I'm like, something is wrong with this picture.
When you mean retained, you mean held back, right?
Held back.
Yeah, okay.
So then I was asked to join the board at Gertrude Walden. So it was like, oh, perfect opportunity.
Right.
Well, fast forward to the director resigned. So as a board member, I stepped in. I was still teaching during the day.
Right.
So I stepped in just to fill in until they found somebody.
Right.
And here it is 23 years later, and they haven't found anybody.
So you're doing it. So what are you seeing through the Children's Center? You've got a lot of things that are happening, from feeding families to taking care of kids and unique situations. What comes through your door on an average day?
Well, we serve 125 children from working poor families throughout Martin County. Okay. It used to be that they primarily came from East Stewart, but actually they come from all over. We are a Gold Seal Center. We're NACCE accredited. We also have students that attend that live in St. Lucie County. Right. And they're funded through the Early Learning Coalition. So on any given day, we average about 118 to 127 in attendance. Right. And I say we do a good job of preparing them for kindergarten. Now, the state says differently, but Thelma Washington says we do a great job. Right. So we serve
whose opinion matters?
Mine.
Okay. Right.
Well, actually, for funding, the state.
Right.
But so we serve children ages 14 months to 5. They leave us and go to kindergarten. Yeah. So we have 2 VPK classrooms, and VPK is voluntary pre-kindergarten. Right. And I was on the committee that represented the Treasure Coast back in, 2000, whatever. That when they first started VPK. Right. So, and the whole idea is for every child that's 4 by September 1st, they're served through VPK for 3 hours. So whether you choose a 3-hour program, a 6-hour program, but every child is entitled to 540 hours. Okay. So one of the things that I have found is, even though the children that we serve make tremendous gains while they're there, they don't score well on this test that they take in kindergarten. So we're working on that. Right. But getting back to the population that we serve, I have great parents. I have parents that, they say a parent is the child's first teacher. Right. Well, we have some parents that have never been parented, but are parenting children. Right. So
are they predominantly older parents or younger parents, or a mixture of both?
It's a combination. It's a mixture. We have kids that's raised by grandparents. We have kids that's raised by parents. Yeah. We have kids that's raised by guardians. So we serve a whole variety. So when you walk in our doors, you see a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of everything. Right. But at the end of the day, they all there to be loved and taught. Yeah. And that includes the parents. So we see a lot of everything. We have children that's protective services, which means they might have an open DCF case for, it could be abuse, it could be neglect. It could even be something that the parents really didn't do, but anytime you call the 800 number, it does open up a case that it has to be investigated.
Right.
So we have kids from there. We also have had kids enrolled from Hibiscus and Safe Space. So like I said, we had a little bit of everything. But the whole idea is for children to be loved and nurtured.
Yeah.
And we find that some of our kids come with a lot of issues because that's just the way they're raised.
Right.
We have some that we feel are raising themselves. We have some that I would want to keep 24 hours.
Yeah. How do you not?
Well, you got to take them home. And Jean says I can't bring them home with me.
Right.
But I do have an employee that will take them home.
Right.
I can help clothe them and feed them, and she will take them home.
Right.
So in saying that, we have a great collaboration with so many agencies in Martin County, Tykes and Teens, helping people succeed.
Yeah.
We're a United Way agency. TC3, Palm City Press, because it takes all of us to do what we do. It really does. And so when we talk about help and what do you consider help and what is too much or not enough, we always say a hand up.
Yeah.
Not just giving them something, because then when they come to me for help, first of all, what are you going to do differently that you don't have to come back next month?
Right.
Because as the fifth of 8 children, my mother taught us how to count our money, how to pay our bills, and how to take care of our family. Yeah. Because I saw that firsthand. Right. So that's easy for me. But if you've never been taught that, you don't know. So my mom always said, you can't fill a bucket with a hole in it. So I'll have people say, well, what does that mean? Yeah. Well, if you pour water in a bucket with a hole in it, guess what? That water keeps going out.
Right.
So we got to find a way to get a new bucket. Yeah. So then you can fill it and the water stays. Right. So when they come to me for help, it comes with a lesson.
Yeah.
Or it comes with connecting them to, because I don't always have the answer, but I can find somebody that does. Right. So I don't claim to know it all, but I know somebody that does.
That's one of the things I've really realized about you is I think you know everybody. I think you know.
I hear that a lot.
I think you know everybody in the community, and that's one of the things I think you've been really good at is figuring out who can kind of jump in and fill certain needs that you see along the way. And so you've kind of been great at collaborating with people and just drawing them in. And I think people want to help, they just don't always know how to help. Right. So you've been a great resource. It's been the trenches for a long time. So I guess back to you, what keeps you there? What keeps you in the day to day? Because
seeing progress.
Yeah.
Progress. When I have a parent that comes back and say, oh, thank you, Mrs. Washington. I've now been in my place for a whole year. I haven't been late. My lights are on every month. I'm paying my bills on time. Yeah. When we have those that have gone through Habitat that have gotten homes, when we have those that have gone through realtors and gotten homes, when we have those that kids come back, even in middle school and high school and volunteer, and parents that even though they might say, there's nothing wrong with my child, it's you, and then they come back and they say, oh my God, you were so right. And now my child is better and I know I can do this.
Right.
And that's where it comes with the different people that we have that collaborate with us.
Right.
Because sometimes, for example, I had a mom that came to me one day, she said, Miss Washington, I paid my electric bill. I had a $100 bill. It was $47.53. This is what they gave me back. Is this right? Mm-hmm. So I counted it back to her.
Right.
And I said, yes. But then, see, that let me know she didn't know how to count money, but at least she trusted me to do it for her.
Right.
So then what I did was I paired her with a mentor that worked with her on math and counting.
Figure out how to get it done.
Right. So, but you have to have that kind of relationship that people will come to you and know that it's not going to be broadcast. Yeah. Because you don't have to broadcast it to get them help. Right. Hey, I got a whole group that we're going to do this with. I'll never forget, we had one of the local ministers that did talk on relationships.
Right.
So it was supposed to be an hour. Yeah. It started at 6. At 10:45, we were still there because it was The title was "You Think You're a Couple, Thought You Was a Couple, Wanted to Be a Couple." Yeah. So, and it was Vincent Polk, who's the pastor of one of the churches in East Stewart, and it was so great. I mean, because as he was talking about relationships and what to expect and what you should accept and what you should not,
right? You
could see the ladies crying. You see the men nodding their heads, and you see the tears flowing. So a lot of times, so it's like, okay, we have to do this again. Yeah. So when you have those doors and those eyes open, it lets you walk right into help. Yeah. So and again, it comes back to you have people that can do better because they know better. But if you don't know, my mom always say, why ask a man with a bicycle about buying a car? Because he's going to tell you what's wrong with the bicycle.
Right. So you find people stuck in that cycle.
Exactly. So you can't be the sharpest crayon in the box. Right. Because then who are you going to learn from? Right. So I surround myself with people that I can't be the smartest one, so I got to call you. I got to call Carol, so I have somebody smarter that I can learn some things and share. Yeah. So, and that's what we do well at Gertrude Walden. We work as a team with a lot of collaboration, because why should I reinvent something when you already know how to do it? Then I can just come to you. Why stay up all night trying to figure it out?
Yeah. One of the things that I've found, even from a pastoring standpoint, is that there's a lot of great stuff happening in our community, in our neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, people get grand ideas to start these programs and initiatives and things. Whereas if they would just look around, someone's already got that going.
Right. Just join in.
Get on, Yeah. Blackaby used to say, figure out where God's at work and then just get on board.
Exactly.
Versus trying to have your own thing.
And I am definitely a team player.
Yeah.
I mean, you can call me for the salt and pepper. I don't have to do the chicken.
Right.
I mean, I can be the littlest thing, and I don't have to be seen, and I don't have to see my hand and my name in lights, because it's all about the end result, and that's what I want, the end result. Yeah. And I have people that say, "Oh, I can't believe you helped her after all the things she said about you." I'm like, "Child, they talked about Jesus, so what makes a difference?" But I like at the end of the day. And I think I have a direct relationship with God, because I can have somebody come to me and say, "Miss Washington, my light's off." And then I get a phone call and say, "Hey, Thelma, I got a donor that's looking to help somebody." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, I just had a phone call. I got just a connection." Now, what do you call that? Yeah. See, I call that favor.
Yeah, that's undeniable.
Yeah, and that's why I continue to do what I do, because I have 2 boys. And I tell you, I got one that travels a lot. I got one that drinks a lot, Mm-hmm. But God takes care of both of them. So I think he says, you know what? Thelma does a lot over at Gertrude Walden. Let me take this off her plate. Let me keep Justin safe. Let me take care of Jonathan. Right. And I honestly believe that. Yeah. So I will continue to keep on doing what I do until I see that I'm not progressing. When I see that I'm not moving Gertrude Walden forward, then it's time for me to do something else. Yeah. I used to want to be a greeter at Walmart and say, "Welcome to Walmart." That's filed on aisle 17. But now they're not doing that anymore. So I don't know what I'm going to do next.
You can always be a greeter at TC3.
Okay.
So pays about the same.
Yes.
Here's something that I have wrestled with, and this is probably something in your world too. When you see a person who has all the potential in the world, all the heart in the world, but they just won't seem to embrace kind of the path or embrace a teachable kind of mindset. How do you deal with that? Because you deal with that from a standpoint of, you see the kid as the one who's suffering, and you see a parent who may not be teachable, and so it's bearing out in their life. I see that in the church as well, where families suffer because, a husband or a wife or a mom or a dad just won't follow the simple principles in Scripture, and they've already gone through the loop 3 or 4 times, and you just want to shake them. So how do you deal with that outside of violence?
I keep talking. I talk it, pray it, and and at some point you have to let it go. And think that,
That's hard.
It's going to come back. I know, because I have one that I have wrestled with for years. I probably have helped 27 and a half times.
Yeah.
And it'll do better for a little while, and then it goes back. And then I say, I'm not going to help. And then I say, what would Jesus do? I can't turn my back. So I have to keep moving forward, even though I feel like I'm taking 5 steps back. And then it'll get better for a while.
Yeah.
And then it'll slip back for a while.
Right.
But you have to stay the course. You can't give up. You can't give up.
I think sometimes God puts certain people like that in strong people's lives as their person to kind of keep up with. Because I think in healthy relationships, you always have someone who you're trying to pull up, someone that you're walking with, and someone who's able to pull you up too. And I just think if you're listening to God, you're always going to have that person that kind of irritates you, but you have a heart for them at the same time. You can't let them go.
But they make you lose it, because mine made me lose it 2 weeks ago. And I had one teacher that actually stood in front of me and said, Miss Washington, calm down, step back, let it go.
Right.
Let it go.
Yeah.
And so I had to let it go. But it'll come back, because it always does. It's been coming back and back and back.
And you'll still be there.
For 15, 16 years, it's been coming back.
Yeah.
It's been coming back. So you can't let it beat you, because we just have to keep pushing forward.
Right.
No matter what. We can't give up. We're not quitters. Now, one thing I've never been is a quitter.
I believe that.
I've never been a quitter. So I just don't quit.
Right. So I think from a helping standpoint, sometimes it's your call is to help them get from here to there. And sometimes there is actually a pretty short journey. It might be just food to get by the day, through the day, so that they can, at least process something that you're trying to put inside them. So even the small steps, I think, are a big deal. So here's a question that I have for you. All of us have people in our life that we know could use a hand up. So how do you know when to go in and what to do? I know that's a kind of a broad question, but I mean, if we can break it down a little bit.
And we have a tendency to look and listen and not make assumptions.
Okay.
So
that's great counsel.
It might be something that I help with short term, and then I see, you know what? There's a little more I can do with this. So if I can give you food this week, then I'll tell you next week, come and sit down with me. Let's see your budget.
So you're cracking the door.
Let's see what we can do. Okay, maybe we can get you some assistance to help you with your rent, so that then you can do this. Maybe there are some programs out there that you don't know about. Maybe you can get on ELC because you're working enough hours so that you're not paying $100 for child care a week, that you're paying $20, so that then you have this aided to put somewhere else. Because if you've never been taught to budget, how do you know?
Right.
Because I've had a parent that come to me and say, this says I have this amount of money, but this is all I have. I said, well, you have to subtract. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. So if you don't know, so that's where I say it comes with mentoring and keeping it going. Right. We've had mentors from the different churches that have helped at Christmas time or Thanksgiving time that build a relationship with that parent, that they continue to check on them. So then they become friends. So that's then that's a win-win, because yes, you gave that child a toy at Christmas, but look at the relationship you built, that you call them and say, okay, how you doing? Just calling to check on you. How is work? Because you know what? Sometimes just that call let them know, hey, I was thinking about you. Yeah. Who doesn't like to hear that? Yeah. We all do.
So a simple check-in.
A simple check-in. Right. So it's not always about writing a check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's just about that encouraging. If you have low self-esteem, so that's a kicker. So you let people constantly kick on you, and if that's all you know. So somebody has to tell you, you know what? You can do this. You're a great mom. Yeah. Let me help you show it. Let me show you how you can even get better. Yeah. Because I have parents that we teach them to read to their kids. And I've had one that say, Miss Washington, I was never read to as a child. And I'm like, really? Wow. But if you've never been read to, how do you know to read to your child? Right. Right. So again, it's always those small things that can go into big things. Right. And that's what we work on in improving not only parents, but children and staff. We're all in this together.
I always talk to our guys about the fact that when you're kind of in that helping mode, again, your job really isn't to bring it all to fruition, but it is to find fertile ground, plant the seed in there, and then someone else will water it. Maybe you'll get to water it, and that harvest will eventually come. But you just got to start that journey and then see where that road takes you. And loving your neighbor is just this. It's really availability with time, treasure, and talents.
Right.
And oftentimes we think it's treasure, and it's not always that. So,
and like I say, so often it's just those words, I care. How are you? Is there something I can do to help? Because my mom always said, don't ask if you're not willing to help. So don't ask me about my day if you're not going to make a change, Yeah. So just keeping that and doing what you can to help.
Yeah. I think that it's really important to be just open and spirit-led in the whole thing. And I think sometimes spirit-led is you're gonna plant a seed. Sometimes spirit-led is you're gonna walk with for a while. And I think sometimes even spirit-led is you're gonna get taken advantage of.
Right. Because not every seed is gonna grow. So that's the way I look at it. Right. You're gonna have those that grow, and you're gonna have those that die. Right. So in those that died, didn't do what they needed to do to make it grow. Yeah. And that's just life. Yeah. But
there are some people that don't help or don't give or don't respond because they're afraid, well, it's gonna I'm gonna get taken advantage of, or they're gonna blow their opportunity. And what I've found is if we evaluate every single opportunity through that lens, you don't help anybody. No. Because I'm going into stuff feeling like 25% of the time, I'm just going to get taken advantage of. Right. but I mean, it's you go into it because the love of God and your character calls you into it. Right. You don't have a choice.
Exactly. And so, I always say, what you do with it from then is on them.
I think about this a lot, that the haves have a responsibility to the have-nots. So in our family's history, my dad immigrated here from Poland, and the story is big, and there's a lot of suffering involved in their story and all of that. But along the way, there were strategic people that really gave them a hand up, and if they wouldn't have given them a hand up, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I've carried this burden of I got to honor the hand up that was given to me, and I've found it to be fulfilling when I've been able to kind of do that. And so I hope that people grab onto that as they're even listening to this talk.
Yeah, I think so too. I can say that because I'm the fifth of 8, and I was the first girl to go away to college. My brothers were in the military. I have 3 older brothers, 2 deceased now. But my mom worked for Duval County School Board, so she worked second shift as a custodian. So during the day, she did days work. And when I went off to college, she was like, you can't go off to, how would I afford it? But back then there was plenty of grants for single moms. Right. But she did days work. And I'll never forget, I called her, I wanted to go to summer school. And she's like, it was $812. I don't have $812, but she was doing days work for Judge Proctor in Jacksonville. So Judge Proctor say, Mayor Francis, what's going on? She said, well, Thelma wants to go to summer school. I don't have that kind of money. He said, how much is it? She said $812. He wrote a check to Bethune-Cookman for me to go to summer school. Wow. Yeah. So it's like you have those people in your lives that makes a difference, and you remember that. So you know how long ago that was? I was at Bethune-Cookman from 1979 to 1983. But it was that made a great impact on my life. So I always said, you know what? When I'm able, I'm going to always make sure I give back and help somebody. Because somebody did it for me. Yeah. I remember when Carol and I were first married, and we just had our son, and we were broke as a joke. I mean, we were splitting Happy Meals, to hang out with teenagers when I was a youth pastor, and we had this bill hanging over our head, and I still remember Jim, a guy named Jim, banged on our door on a Sunday afternoon, and then there was this bill, and it was
$500, and it was large and looming back at that time period. And he goes, I don't know why I'm supposed to do this, but the Lord told me, and he told me this amount, and he handed over an envelope for $500. And I was just like, man, you know?
Right.
And so, you know, that's helped me from a standpoint of my faith in God, that he'll always be there. But it's also kind of also put me in a place to where, like, I got to remember that came my direction. And so, you know, I need to be listening to the voice of God, you know, in other ways as well, and responding to that. Well, let me wrap this up, if you wouldn't mind, by just praying for you, the Children's Center. So, Lord, I just want to thank you for Thelma and her staff and the work that's happening down at Gertrude Walden Children's Center. I just pray that you'd continue to bless the ministry that's happening down there. I pray that you'd give them wisdom. I pray that you would prosper the work that's taking place down there. I pray that more people would come and volunteer of their time and their treasures and their talents. And I pray that some of us would get off the fence in regards to serving and kind of figure out that spot that you have called us to walk in. So God, I want to thank you that we can see you at work in the people that are around us. And I want to thank you for what Thelma is involved with. And I just pray again that you continue to bless that work. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.